This is the Defenders podcast on TV Podcast Industries. We're back with What If, Season 2, Episode 3, What If Happy Hogan Saved Christmas?
Hands where I can see them, Hammer. Now surrender peacefully.
Oh, the day you've been dreading has finally come. The day that you face off against Tony Stark's greatest adversary.
Greatest adversary? What are you, a wealth tax?
Welcome back, fellow Defenders. We're back with What If, Season 2, Episode 3, What If Happy Hogan Saved Christmas? Keeping the Christmas cheer going. I'm one of your hosts, Derek.
Hello there, fellow Defenders. Welcome back. I am your other host, John.
And we're once again Chrisless.
Yes, Chrisless. We are Chrisless.
Post-Christmas.
Post-Christmas.
Yeah.
Yes.
Unfortunately.
Yes.
But
he ate too much turkey and drank way too much sherry.
After one episode of What If. That's all he did. He will be back for more episodes later on in the season as we go through it. But as we talked about last time, we are trying to fit all of our recordings in around all of the celebrations coming up for New Year's now. So couldn't get us all together for every episode, unfortunately.
No, exactly.
But that's okay.
Absolutely. Before we get into our spoiler-filled discussion of this episode of What If, just a quick reminder, if you're new to the podcast, please head on over to our website at tvpodcastindustries.com, where you can subscribe through any mysterious podcast player in the multiverse of your choice. You can also interact with us, send in any comments, theories, or observations on each and every episode of Season 2 of What If by sending in your thoughts by email to feedback@tvpodcastindustries.com, or of course through our Facebook group at facebook.com/groups/TV Podcast Industries, where we do have a spoiler post for each and every episode of this season of What If. And you can also search for us and find us over on Threads, as well as we look to transition away from the bin fire that is X.
Absolutely. Making Twitter our X, exactly as you said last time, which I liked a lot. I also want to take this opportunity, since it's the Christmassy episode of What If, to say a huge thank you to all of our patrons who support us over on patreon.com/TV Podcast Industries. Because of their support over there, we've been able to host our pub quizzes throughout the year, and we don't do them on every show, of course, that we do lots and lots of shows, but as far as I know, almost every single person has now received their goodies from all of the pub quizzes that we've done this year. So just one more person to receive theirs. They have to wait until the new year, unfortunately, for the Gen V jacket from Prime Video. So
excellent
that'll be out in the new year, but
yes,
they're aware of that.
Fingers crossed it's not been held up too much by all the Christmas posts.
It has been. That's exactly why it's not there yet.
Oh no.
Unfortunately. Okay. But let's get into our discussion about What If, Season 2, Episode 3, What If Happy Hogan Saved Christmas? A Die Hard inspired episode, if ever there was
Certainly is. Yes.
To mention again, the executive producers for the show are Bryan Andrews, AC Bradley, Brad Winderbaum, and Kevin Feige, of course. The head writer for the show is AC Bradley. This episode was written by AC Bradley and Matthew Chauncey, and the episode was directed by Bryan Andrews once again.
Good stuff indeed.
Yep. AC has been at the head of the show since right back at the start. She's very central to all the concepts that we have in What If and the ideas that are going through the storylines for the seasons. So great to have her on board for this episode of the season, the fun Christmas episode.
Indeed it is.
So John, don't die too hard, but can you tell us what they gave us with your synopsis for this episode of What If?
Sure. On Christmas Eve, Happy Hogan is assigned to oversee preparations for the annual Christmas party with Darcy, as well as security in the Avengers Tower, along with director Maria Hill, after Jarvis has been taken offline for debugging. But the annual holiday party is crashed by Justin Hammer and his henchmen Sergei and Rusty, who lay siege to the tower for Tony Stark's technology and Bruce Banner's Hulk blood sample. Attempting to save the Hulk blood sample from the hands of Hammer, Hogan, working with Maria Hill and Darcy under the call sign Puffin2, is accidentally injected with it, causing him to slowly transform into a purple Hulk-like monster, though he manages to retain his intelligence. With the Avengers busy with their festive engagements and Jarvis inactive, Hogan contacts Darcy, who is tasked to find an AI to reboot the tower's system. But Darcy and Maria are captured by Hammer, Sergei, and Rusty and hold them hostage in the penthouse to lure Hogan into the open. A now fully transformed Hogan confronts him and destroys the hijacked Iron Legion robots. Justin Hammer takes control of Stark's Hulkbuster armor Veronica. As Hogan battles Hammer, the Avengers arrive, who mistake him as the aggressor until corrected by Darcy and Hill. With Hammer subdued by Hulk Hogan, Tony Stark deactivates Veronica and Hammer is taken into custody. Hogan is praised for his efforts as he and the Avengers resume their Christmas party before Thor arrives and wonders what he has missed. Yes, party Thor has arrived for the party, but is late.
Exactly. Misses it all.
Oh no.
Yeah, just in time to see the burning Avengers Tower as he arrives in his Christmas hat. And an interesting kind of side story here with Happy Hogan, Maria Hill and Darcy in Avengers Tower, but not featuring the Avengers for the most part. They are out of the story for the most of the episode.
Yes, I do like, as he tries to get help from each of the Avengers, they all have their own problems going on at these festive engagements. And I do like, the Tony Stark and Steve Rogers one where Tony, first of all, is kind of saying, why is this kid asking for a Captain America shield? It's just a plastic frisbee as a toy.
Patriotic frisbee.
A patriotic frisbee as a toy, just as Steve Rogers is effectively being swarmed by soccer mums that Tony needs to go and rescue him from.
Love it.
So I really did like that aspect. That was good.
And the nod to Jingle All the Way, as we had Hawkeye and Bruce Banner in a toy shop. Hawkeye with his hands on the last Iron Man toy and all the kids screaming at him to give them the final Iron Man. And unfortunately, we actually see it in the final closing credits, that right beside that, there are loads of Hawkeye toys, all marked at 25% off as a little dig on Hawkeye there. But
I know.
Another little Christmas movie
pointed.
Reference, wasn't it? Yeah.
So pointed.
Yeah. But the biggest movie reference, we always start this out with where have we seen this before? What's the Marvel Cinematic Universe this is taken off? The biggest movie reference, of course, is Die Hard, actually,
for sure,
which isn't in the MCU. And they don't call out the name of it. They have the interchanges between the characters, the exchanges between the characters where they're trying to remember the name of this movie. They even call out John McClane. Darcy's going through all the rip-off movies of that, like Under Siege, but they don't actually call out Die Hard. But did they need to? Everything in here
absolutely
strikes Die Hard. Everything right the way through to Justin Hammer at the end getting kicked out of the building and falling potentially to his death. He does get saved, but looking exactly like Hans Gruber in Die Hard, falling out of the building.
For sure.
In this case, we have Happy Hogan climbing through the pipes, jumping out of windows, just like John McClane. So.
For sure. And we have Darcy, rather than breaking into the bank vault to that wonderful music and the light, we have her sort of getting to the mainframe of Tony Stark's AI and security system.
Exactly. But what MCU movies does this connect to, I suppose, is the other thing to kind of call out here, I suppose.
Well, it certainly sort of references the events before Avengers Age of Ultron, but in a sense as well, Justin Hammer's takeover of the Tony Stark bots as their eyes go red as well. That is a reference to Age of Ultron, where they all kind of have been reprogrammed and infiltrated by Ultron. So, and his AI. So it's both the reference to events before, but also including to some extent the Age of Ultron, Avengers: The Age of Ultron.
Yeah, it seems to take place in between those two movies. as far as I remember, and again, I'm only going by a quick Google search, but as far as I remember, Justin Hammer doesn't get out of prison until 2020, which is way after those events. So this story really takes place after Iron Man 2 when he's put in prison and before Age of Ultron, while Tony still has the Iron Patriots surrounding Avengers Tower. So it takes place much earlier. Justin Hammer gets out of prison much earlier, which I guess is the small change that leads to this entire episode. The small change here is that Justin Hammer comes up with a plan and breaks out of prison much earlier than he did in the MCU.
Yes, it's the fact that because Justin Hammer was arrested, was put into prison, he had too much time on his hands and was able to come up with this plan for revenge against Tony Stark to, eclipse him. I mean, he always thought he was the equal of Tony Stark. And I do like where he is face to face with Maria Hill. Well, she has him held at gunpoint and, he goes, "You're having a face off against Tony's greatest adversary." To which Maria Hill responds, "Tony's greatest adversary? What are you, a wealth tax?" Which I thought was just bang on the money. That really was a good, great line. I loved it. Yep. Justin, his inflated ego of himself has always been inherently comedic, actually.
Absolutely.
And I think it's really played excellently here. It's that confidence in his own ability, which is his downfall.
Absolutely. Like you said that he thinks that he's the equal of Tony Stark. He thinks he's 10 times the intelligence of Tony Stark, and he's looking to get 12 times the power of Captain America by getting the Hulk serum here. So he wants to be all the Avengers in one. But we have always said that about Iron Man 2. It's not the greatest of the movies, but Justin Hammer is a great character. Really, really well played by Sam Rockwell. He just eats up the scenery around him, and he does it here as well. He really is enjoying himself playing this role again of Justin Hammer.
Definitely. Definitely. And I think, that small change of him being able to sort of have that time to formulate his plan, break out of prison, and then, infiltrate into Stark Tower. I love the fact that it was under the cover of carrying in massive poinsettias, for the Christmas decoration. It just kind of reminded me of the Terminator, and with Arnold Schwarzenegger, sort of taking the gun from, with the roses and him crushing them, just using the roses as the cover for the gun, and this it's poinsettias, that Christmas plant. So I kind of liked how him and his, his two heavies come in under the cover, of poinsettias to hide their guns, and seemingly, the fact that Maria Hill is there, and the party's still going on, yet it still feels there's preparations, but really is all a bit stressed out by them.
Of course. It's happy.
Because it coupled to, the fact that, you have Jarvis down at the moment. So, he's having to make sure the security detail is up and running. I love the fact that we have Darcy in here as well.
Absolutely.
Helping out. Anything with Darcy in, is good for me. I just love the whole pitter patter of Darcy. And I love the jokes here as well. In fact, at Darcy's expense, Maria Hill is like, have you ever held down a paid job? You're always an intern or doing something, for free. How do you survive effectively?
But even Happy saying to her when she says he's the best boss ever, he says that's such a great compliment coming from somebody who's had so many bosses over the years. So I thought that was really good fun as well. I love Darcy. I love what Kat Dennings brings to the MCU. She's always been such a fun presence. Was great at WandaVision, and great here in this episode as a real fun episode. And it's different to the other episodes we talked about so far. It's a very contained story. Being by its nature being the diehard of the MCU, I suppose. It's a much smaller story. So any other moments that you want to talk about from the episode, John, I suppose?
I love the fact where he's trying, you know, as Maria Hill is trying to distract Justin, you know, you've got, Sergei and Rusty trying to break into the vault. I love
with
the fact
a sledgehammer.
with a sledgehammer, exactly.
As their cracking device.
Yeah. I love how Hogan is kind of between the glass, and is like, and it's a running gag ultimately of, you can see me, can't you? You know, as the lights, as the ventilation system sort of falls down off the ceiling under his weight, all the lights go on and they can see him. But up till that point, they couldn't see anything. They just hear noises. They think it's a big rat or something. And you have the running gag of him, sort of trying to hide from Sergei and Rusty, but they can see exactly where he is.
Yeah.
I like that, but just as the light's going on, he's going, be a shadow, you're a shadow. And he's like, he's just lit up like the proverbial Christmas tree.
Yeah.
I thought that was really good fun. And I loved the fact that he doesn't fully Hulk out. I love the fact that after, you know, the Hulk blood has been injected into his leg, that is just his leg is the first thing that hulks out, but it's only one of his legs, which comes in handy to knock down the door. And then he gets both his arms hulking out, and then finally his torso and his other leg, you know, finally hulks out by the end. But I like that half of this action is going on where he's just got a Hulk leg, which basically is useful for him, running or knocking things through.
Yeah.
And then, you know, you have that, it felt almost like an E.T. moment where he's hiding in the closet, and he's trying to call the Avengers as one of the Stark bots has kind of come in to the office, you know, or like from the horror movies, you've got that kind of slatted cupboard door that you get, in the movies. And eventually the robot, is looking directly in there, but he's gotten his Hulk arms at that stage, so he's able to use them to full effect to knock the Stark bot, out. And then he wants to try it again to, you know, sort of get that, you know, feel that power and strength that he's received from the Hulk blood. They're not Stark bots, actually, are they? What are
they're Iron Legion.
That's it, Iron Legion.
Yeah, the Iron Legion.
said that in the synopsis, but for some reason it just doesn't trip off the tongue.
It doesn't. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. But there are some fun moments in this episode. I really like, Justin Hammer, trying to claim that A Christmas Story is the story of his childhood. And everybody's kind of going, you'll shoot your eye out with that. You know, one of the most famous Christmas movies in the US, I think.
It's a classic.
It's a classic. It's one of my favorites as well. Really always try and watch that every Christmas.
The Red Ryder BB gun, the leg lamp.
Of course. Great movie. Great movie. But I thought that was really good fun. They do have the nod of him jumping out the window, of Happy jumping out the window, and instead of latching himself onto a fire hose like McClane did, he latches himself onto some material that's being used for the party later on, and again, catches him at the wrong point and throws him back in through a window below. I thought that was really interesting. Yeah. Really good fun.
I loved him and Darcy sort of having that discussion about having a call sign over the walkie-talkie, and it's kind of like, it was like Flamingo 3 or something, or something 6, and in the end, you know, during the course of the episode, you find out that Happy Hogan's call sign is Puffin 2 and hers is Sparrow 1.
Yes.
So that was really good. I like that.
And Puffin 1 is Gary in accounting. Which is highly offensive. There is one interesting little touch, and it's probably up more in notes, but there is one interesting touch when Hammer is trying to tell everybody to calm down, they'll all get home for Christmas, where he says a line in a very specific way. He says, I guarantee you'll be home for Christmas, which any Marvel comic book or Marvel animated show fan who may have liked the X-Men back in the 90s will recognize that's the way Gambit used to say I guarantee. He would always say it in his Cajun French accent when he'd say I guarantee. So it was quite interesting to hear Justin Hammer say that.
I wondered what that was about, actually. Yeah.
It's just an odd little nod back to the X-Men cartoon of the 90s, which are returning in 2024. The X-Men sequel cartoon coming out later on in 2024. Does this change anything in the universe in the future, John? We normally have our last point that we talk about, which is what if the universe was changed forever? What does it change?
I think if it changes anything, it's probably more on a personal note.
Okay.
So, it ultimately changes Happy Hogan. I mean, he does ask for a cure, but whether he gets one is another matter. I mean, whether he's able to change back as well. I mean, it does seem like, the whole anger or distress thing, that strain is what leads him to hulking out over time during this episode.
Kind of, yeah.
To an extent, it's only as he's gone through all those different walls that, and the pain of that, the anguish, the stress, the anger that builds up from that, that then he fully transforms. And so, potentially Happy Hogan is an intelligent Hulk, can be, possibly a more frontline member of the action moving forward. I'm not saying he is, because we don't know.
Yeah. Yeah, that is kind of a big change to have Happy possibly, not a smart Hulk, at least in control of his own facilities and able to not just be controlled by rage. Because at this stage, there is only one Hulk in the universe, and Tony's been trying to cure him. That's why he has the Hulk blood. And we know from She-Hulk now, much later in the MCU, that when Jennifer got her powers, she was able to control being able to change from Hulk and back into a normal human. Yeah, she was able to take control of that. So potentially that's happened much earlier in the MCU, and the second Hulk in the universe is Happy, and potentially he's able to change back. But you're totally right. He does ask for a cure, and Tony laughs it off. He doesn't tell him that he's going to be able to get him a cure. He just laughs it off and makes a joke and says, "Thanks, Happy. What would I do without you?" kind of thing. Yeah. But what we do know is that Bruce Banner's never been cured of being a Hulk, right? Yeah. Not at this stage anyway, certainly. So that is a big change for the universe. There is another Hulk in there, and potentially the earliest version of a Hulk with their own memories and their own mind. So I thought that was quite interesting.
Yeah, absolutely.
Any other changes, John?
No, I think they're the main ones. I mean, possibly Darcy gets a job out of it.
That might be interesting. Yeah.
And possibly, Jarvis is ultimately, supplanted by Werner, the Werner Herzog, German AI, instead of the English butler.
Do you know, I think that's a fun joke.
It is. It really is.
Just the idea that it would have the voice of Werner Herzog after having a character as upper class British as Paul Bettany's version of Jarvis in the past. Now we have Werner Herzog doing it. Apparently this came from Jon Favreau, of course, working on The Mandalorian. Werner Herzog had worked on the first season of that, and they were hoping to get him to come in and do the voice. He politely declined to do the voice, according to the director of the show, which is okay, because we got Ross Marquand from Walking Dead and from Invincible back doing another voice within the MCU after doing the Red Skull, of course, in live action. So that's quite cool, having Ross Marquand back doing this jokey character.
It could change Age of Ultron in the sense that, it could be, as Maria Hill describes, what is this nihilistic sort of AI that's suddenly speaking. So yeah, maybe that is. But yeah, I think it's a little bit more limited. I think this is more of, what if the that party that happens in the Avengers Tower is at Christmas and ultimately involves Justin Hammer rather than Age of Ultron.
Exactly. We move on to a couple of little notes from the episode. Yeah. One I wanted to definitely note, because we're literally just talking about Werner being the choice of AI to take over. A couple of little call outs there. As Darcy's going through the list of possible AI, she first calls out Wadsworth as an option. Yeah. played wonderfully by Tim Curry.
Yeah, absolutely.
One of my favorite movies, but he was the butler in Clues. So another butler effectively, possibly taking over from Jarvis.
And she does say it sounds like a British or English period drama with all the different names.
Exactly. We also get the call out of Edith as another option for the AI. Edith is the AI that takes over after Jarvis, which we see in Spider-Man, and all the Spider-Man movies as well.
Absolutely. So, I also, I just like when Darcy is trying to, get to the new AI. She thinks she's in the mainframe room. She goes, I didn't realize how small this was until she opens it up, and you get the classic, sort of Die Hard, riff here with, I think, is it Beethoven's Ode to Joy coming up with the lights as this huge mainframe space comes into view. And Darcy's like, this is like the doorknob for the dork Narnia.
Absolutely.
Just referencing, The Lion, the Witch and the Wardrobe and
another Christmas
Tales
movie,
of
I think.
Narnia. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Absolutely. Great stuff. And I think we should also give a shout out to the post-credit scene, also featuring, Kat Dennings. At least an audio Kat Dennings, singing her lovely Christmas song at the end. And I don't know whether that was just Kat Dennings in the studio just having a bit of fun, and they thought they would throw it in at the end, because there is a laugh from her about how silly the song is as she makes it up. But a really funny moment if you didn't stay to the end of the credits, because as usual, it's trying to get you to go on to the next episode. Click back in and listen to the last little couple of seconds. I think it's about 20 seconds of another little riff from Kat Dennings.
Yeah, absolutely.
But overall, John, do you defend the Christmas Eve episode, the season 2, episode 3 of What If? What if Happy Hogan saved Christmas?
Yes, I do defend this. I think it's just good fun. I mean, I think I'd give this 3.5, right in the Jingle Bells out of 5, to be honest. To me, this is just good fun. I like the riff on Die Hard. It is literally one of my favorite movies. I love, Alan Rickman. And in a sense, the way Sam Rockwell plays Justin Hammer, does have that hint of Hans Gruber and how it's played by the late great Alan Rickman, who is just a favourite of mine as well. So I just really liked that. It just felt right.
Yeah. And then you add in Werner Herzog's accent, which is almost the same as Hans Gruber's accent.
Exactly. I love how Happy Hogan turns into Hulk Hogan very, very slowly, and in different anatomical parts, as he goes through.
But throughout I was writing in my notes as Happy Hulk. And it's only when Justin Hammer said Hulk Hogan, I was going, that makes much more sense
exactly.
as a joke. Yeah.
I love Darcy as well. To me, this was just good fun.
Yeah.
Which I think was the whole aim for it. So for me, 3.5, right in the Jingle Bells out of 5.
Excellent.
Derek, what about yourself? Do you defend this episode of What If?
I definitely defend this episode. It's a fun episode of the show. Very different to anything we've seen in What If before. Maybe the only other episode that's similar to this was the Party Thor episode last season.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or the whole of Hawkeye.
Kind of. But I do think this is much more jokey. It's kind of playing with the format to have a bit of fun for Christmas. And there's nothing wrong with that. I think it's far better than the Party Thor episode. If you remember, I was very negative on that. I think this works far better than that episode did. But it is just a lot of fun. I can't imagine this is going to spin off into something else.
No.
Unless we're going to do another Christmas special next season from the What If team.
Absolutely. And I don't see, at this moment in time, like it certainly has no Guardians connection, really.
Yeah.
So like the connection or the through thread that may or may not occur with this second season of What If, it's certainly not clear if there is to be one.
Exactly. It's just more the Watcher says at the start, I want to tell you my favorite Yuletide story.
Yeah, exactly.
And this is the one he chooses to tell. So I think it's fun. I think it's one you'll
from the season
exactly,
so
but I think it's what I'll watch again. Next Christmas. They had the Guardians of the Galaxy Christmas special last year. This year it's the What If Christmas special. Maybe there'll be a Daredevil Christmas special next year at the end of next year, or Agatha Harkness Christmas special will be the one they'll do next year. Keep them coming. Keep Christmas specials coming. They're always fun. The Doctor Who ones are always better. But anyway, especially this year, this was great.
Excellent.
Enjoyed this episode. But John, what if we had some feedback?
Indeed. Yes.
We do have some feedback, of course. First up, we have an email in from Coffee and Vodka who says, "Greetings, fellow Hammer holiday defenders. Given the premise of Hammer versus Hogan with Darcy co-starring in a die-hard homage, I thought this would have been a real season topper. Instead, it was a one-liner greatest hits package under a banner reading, 'Hey Gen Xers, remember phase 1?' Which still should have been good, but it felt a bit flat despite Kat and Sam's excellent voice work. And Tony playing with Hulk's blood? Is there any reality where he's not the secret villain? The best parts of this episode were Darcy's post-credit singing and Justin's 'Hey Hulk Hogan' line. Nonetheless, an entertaining enough watch. 2.5 hammer dances, unsafe crackers, and Hulkbuster busters out of 5. Peace and take care. Coffee and Vodka."
Thanks so much, Coffee and Vodka. Yeah, I mean, I definitely can see your point here. I think for me, it was like, I just let it all flow over me. And I totally agree with you. You know, I think Kat Dennings and Sam Rockwell's voice work are really good here. I thought, Jon Favreau was good as well. I really thought he kind of lent into the comedy here as well,
Absolutely.
which I think worked. So, I thought it was just a good Christmas special.
Exactly. It's one of those episodes you wouldn't watch in, the middle of summer or something. If you weren't in the Christmas spirit, as you were supposed to be if you're watching this on Christmas Eve, you're supposed to be in the Christmas spirit. So, I guess if you're watching it any other time of the year, may not have come across as well, or may not go across as well as it does right now, as we're all in the Christmas mood. Brilliant stuff. Thanks, Coffee and Vodka, and thanks for your thoughts so far in the season.
Absolutely. Over on Facebook, we have Heather Wallace, who says, "Cap as a Christmas elf is everything." Yes, I think Heather Wallace, we'll have to say Heather, open brackets, soccer mom, close brackets, Wallace.
Absolutely.
With that, I could see, that you attacking the Christmas elf on Christmas Eve.
I love it. I also like the fact that when the Avengers turned up, everybody was still wearing the outfits from their festivities, including him still in his elf costume.
And I think as well, because there was that moment where he goes, "Is that Happy Hogan as Hulk?" And it's like, no, it's not. And then Darcy explains that it is, and he's like, "Oh, I got that right." It was kind of like, but it wasn't like Men Out of Time. It was just like, everyone thinks I'm stupid.
Exactly. But I knew it. Good stuff.
Yeah. Thanks so much, Heather. Also on Facebook, Donald Dennis says, "So there were lots of Die Hard references, right? Like the staging when Hammer shows up and some of the vent scenes and some others. And that's besides the actual verbal references between Darcy and Happy." Absolutely. Yeah, I think the call sign element is a kind of reference to Die Hard as well.
I think so.
With the cop outside the building. So yeah, it certainly was, Donald. Certainly was.
Yeah, you're right. The call sign reference is a Die Hard reference, but she also, Darcy also calls herself Reginald Val Johnson, who's the actor who played the cop in Die Hard. Yeah. And Happy's kind of going, you don't remember the name of the movie, but that's stuck in your head, Reginald Val Johnson. He's a very famous actor even after Die Hard. So, so I get that. But it wasn't just Die Hard reference. It wasn't just those. We still had, we went through them there. Things like A Christmas Story being brought in. And I'm sure you could make a case for Happy being Home Alone, as well.
Indeed.
Left behind by the Avengers. So lots of Christmas references in there. Good stuff. Thanks, Donald.
Thanks, Donald.
And finally, we have some thoughts in from Joel Sharpton, who says, "Finally watched this one last night, finishing literally as midnight chimed to bring in the 26th of December. Fantastic episode, and this confirms to me that I want a Marvel Christmas special every single year."
Excellent stuff, Joel. Yeah, completely agree. I thought this was really good fun. I love the pitter patter of it. Love the references, all that. And I think this certainly, fantastic little Christmas special.
Yeah. I want event specials from Marvel. We had the awesome Werewolf by Night as a Halloween special. As I said, the Guardian of the Galaxy Christmas special last year, and then this one this year. I want a bit more, Marvel doing fun stuff when they're on TV, things that connect in with other events. So looking forward to the July 4th Captain America special next year.
Yeah, or the Easter Bunny special.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Absolutely.
Or the Summer Solstice, where we kind of get a Wicker Man flavour.
With Agatha Harkness, that could work. That could work.
Couldn't it?
Good stuff. Thanks so much for all the feedback. If you want to send us any further feedback, you can email us to feedback@tvpodcastindustries.com. We'd love to hear from you as well. If you want to send us any voicemails, you can email us to that email address. Just record your thoughts up to 90 seconds, please, so they can fit into the episode. Or you can pop on over to our website at tvpodcastindustries.com, and there's a record message button on there as well, where you can record your thoughts too. Otherwise, you can pop on over to our Facebook group at facebook.com/groups/tvpodcastindustries, where we have a spoiler post for every episode of What If that's been released so far.
Yes, and of course, at this time of the year, please, of course, share the podcast as well, because sharing the podcast is sharing the festive love.
It's sharing the festive love, of course it is.
Indeed it is.
Brilliant. That's it for our chat about this episode. We will be back next time with What If Season 2, Episode 4. What if Tony Stark crashed into the Grandmaster? Revisiting one of my least favourite of the Marvel movies, Thor Ragnarok, I think.
Oh, lovely jubbly. Yes.
But that is the episode that was left out from Season 1, as far as I know, the one with Gamora. That was supposed to be in Season 1, but they couldn't fit it in Season 1, so they moved it into Season 2. So be excited to see that one.
Yeah, I'm kind of looking forward to it, like, in the sense that I really like Jeff Goldblum. I hope he keeps the same deadpan style, because to me, I can eat that up all day, to be honest. So I really like it.
Excellent.
It'd just be Jurassic Park in the Marvel universe, hopefully.
Or Ragnarok again.
Or Ragnarok again, yes.
Good stuff. Well, we'll talk about that one next time. Thanks so much for joining us. Talk to you again when we get back.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you, fellow defenders, for being Christmassy with this Christmas special. Until next time, where we go, Jeff Goldblum. Remember, keep watching, keep listening, and keep defending, as well as keep jingling.
Yeah.
Bye.
Bye.